So, coming up on today's show, we're diving deep into the state of Ubisoft. God of War finally has a release date, and we're discussing whether or not Disney Plus shows are overrated. All this and more on this episode of the ProNerd Report. Come one, come all, this is the ProNerd Report, the newest premiere podcast where once a week I talk about all that sweet and spicy nerdy goodness that you need to know about. You can find this on youtube.com on the New Factions game site as well as all podcast services. If you want to support the show as well as get the show a day early and get the show ad-free, you can do so by becoming a Patreon producer at patreon.com/the ProNerd Report. Go check that out. You already know what it is. So here on the ProNerd Report, we have a weekly podcast segment show called the Nerdtacular Awards. This is where we highlight the dopest nerd content that you need to check out or something that stood out to me this week. So this week's winner of the Nerdtacular Awards goes to the anime One Piece. The latest season of One Piece is absolutely magnificent. It's in a class of its own right now in anime. The fights on this current arc are right there with some of the best fights in anime history. This show is completely on another level right now and fully, pumping out some high quality content. I started watching One Piece during the pandemic and I absolutely fell in love with this show. This is a must watch for anime fans. I can now see why One Piece has been a mainstay in anime for 20 seasons. I was absolutely sleeping on One Piece. I admit it. I was at fault here. I'm gonna just warn you, don't be like me. Don't be scared off by the amount of episodes that are out. Instead, see that as the blessing that it is, because once you actually watch this anime, you're not gonna want the fun to stop. If you've never seen One Piece, do yourself a favor and take the plunge. Once you do, you can't help but to fall in love with One Piece. Its power is too strong for you to resist. You just can't help it. One thing this anime does absolutely better than any other I've ever seen is world building. No matter how small it may seem, every little detail ties into something later. Oda, the creator of One Piece, has a plan for every character he introduces. The storytelling, the character development, the heavy themes that often reflect real life and often reflect real life history are in this show, and they're all elite status. Like, he does everything so well in this. The anime will make you laugh, it'll make you swell with happiness, it'll pull at your heartstrings and make you cry. I'm not gonna lie, your boy said some tears watching One Piece. One Piece is truly something special, and every time I watch an episode, I feel like I'm witnessing anime history right in front of me. One Piece is the winner of the Nerdtacular Award this week. Well deserved, and I think you should definitely give this anime a shot if you haven't already. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, you already know what it is if you watch the show. If you haven't, we're about to get started with topic number one.
Topic number one.
Our first topic of today's show is in the world of video games. It is absolutely crazy how video games can often mirror sports. Let me explain. So often in sports, especially basketball and football, teams go through highs and they go through lows. Teams have their championship years. They also have the years where they're the absolute worst team in the league. When a team is that bad, it's dubbed as being in a rebuilding phase. Video game companies are the exact same way. These companies have championship years. Look at Insomniac, look at From Software, Guerrilla Games, and Naughty Dog. They have studios that are at that championship level right now, that Game of the Year category level right now. The gaming industry also has studios that are in that more so rebuilding phase. They're in that we kind of need to rebuild the franchise mode right now. Recently, Ubisoft had their big Ubisoft Forward showcase, and they just showed off Skull and Bones. The general reception seemed to be cold at best. Most seemed appalled that this is a $70 game. Skull and Bones looks like a draft pick that's going to end up as a bust. We could be proven wrong, of course, but I think everyone's instincts is spot on with this one. Ubisoft seems like a rebuilding sports franchise. Hell, you can make the argument that a lot of their games lately wouldn't make a top 16 playoff tournament. Far Cry 6, while fun, came out and it just went. No one remembers it. Watch Dogs Legion was forgotten about the same week it released. Same case with Immortals Phoenix Rising. Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake is absolutely struggling right now. It's in development hell. And we don't even know what's going on with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Seems like that's more of a myth than actually a real concept every day. Riders Republic was good, but I can't remember the last time I heard anyone actually talk about that game. Assassin's Creed and Mario plus Rabbids are carrying this team on its back right now. And even now, they're going in a very weird direction with the Assassin's Creed franchise. And let's be honest, the direction they're going in might put a lot of people off towards that franchise. Ubisoft needs to do what rebuilding sports teams do. Evaluate what worked well in the past for your team, like Splinter Cell in this case. Go back to Splinter Cell. And release the players that you know are a bust. We've gotten 3 Watchdog games right now, and they're decent games, but no one is crying out for more of those. We've seen the ceiling for that IP. Take the good aspects from that game and create a new game franchise. Let's be real, it's time to do the exact same thing with the Far Cry franchise. It's time for Ubisoft to build a roster of IP from the ground up again. I'm a fan of this company, and I'm ready for them to get back in the hunt with a championship level Game of the Year contender. I really hope that this company can turn things around. By the way, side note, my reaction to Skull and Bones is pretty much the same as the majority of everyone else. I agree with the audience, it looks very meh to me as well. I also want to be fair to the game. I am not this game's desired audience to begin with. If they had made a single-player pirate-based game that's centered around running around islands and also managing your ship and growing your legacy, then sign me up. I'll be a black Jack Sparrow any day of the week, no problem. But alas, me mateys, that's not what this game is, and for that reason, I'm out.
Topic number 2.
Move on from that and talk about some exciting news we've gotten in the world of games. Gamers worldwide celebrated as we finally got the long-awaited God of War Ragnarök release date. This game is officially dropping November 9th, 2022. So yeah, I'm glad it's finally here. We can put this give us the date or delay the game drama behind us completely. It's a new day. People were doing the absolute most to get this date. There was a small group of people even harassing developers by sending them very raunchy pictures, just trying to get the date out of them. That is completely uncalled for. Let's keep in mind, everyone, these are people too, and that's completely unacceptable. I get being excited, but that's crossing the line. All that said, I'm hype as hell too. When I heard the date, I celebrated like I hit a game-winning shot in basketball. As soon as I heard the date, I cleared my whole entire calendar. I'm just letting y'all know right now, right here, right now, when it comes out, I'm gonna be MIA to the whole world. No, seriously, don't ask me for a damn thing from the 9th through the 12th. Don't ask me for no damn ride. I'm gonna be like, nah, sorry, you better get to walking knees to chest. Don't ask me to come to your wedding. I'm gonna be like, sorry, boo-boo. If you want me to be there, you gonna have to change the date. I'm serious. Don't ask me for a damn thing when this game drops. I'm gonna be like, nope. I'm sorry, my son Atreus needs me. No lie, this is not a drill. That time is officially God of War season. If you haven't already guessed, this is pretty high on my most anticipated games list. I was absolutely enamored with God of War 2018, and that game might just be in my top 5 games of all time. I'll have to do an episode listing those soon. This November 9th release date is absolutely perfect, by the way. God of War Ragnarok will be eligible for the Game of the Year awards, as well as everyone's cutoff for Game of the Year. It'll do huge numbers in this holiday season as well. This was perfect placement. Speaking of Game of the Year, this game easily has the potential to knock off Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring. If this game lives up to the hype, then this easily could be a contender and honestly probably the favorite for the Game of the Year award. So what else can we expect from God of War Ragnarok? Do most people expect that we get a huge step up or a drastic change in gameplay from 2018's God of War? Of course, I want this game to be better graphically, and I want new gameplay mechanics, but honestly, I don't care if it's just more of God of War 2018 gameplay-wise. That game is absolutely perfect, and I don't think you need to deviate from what made that game a masterpiece too much. Sure, tweak it here or there, but I think for the most part, and I think most of us, at least me personally, would be okay with playing just a beefed-up sequel. I do have a question for everyone, because this is something I've been really thinking about. What's the over or under that is to say Kratos, gets Mjolnir? I feel like there's a good chance that we get it after beating Thor in the middle of the game or something. I want to be clear here. I don't have any secret information about the game, but it kind of seems like a given, doesn't it? Think about it for a second. The hammer would play just like the Leviathan axe. Just like the Leviathan axe, you can throw it and have it come back to you. And then it'll probably add electric or lightning elements to like your arsenal. I think that would be the perfect weapon for Kratos. Let's go back to the release date though. I saw online that some people were upset that this date was revealed with a CGI trailer instead of showing us more gameplay. Y'all are tripping. We don't need any more gameplay because everyone's already sold on this game. Everyone also has a solid understanding of what this game actually is. Anything else, especially in this narrative heavy game, will probably just be a spoiler anyways. Me personally, I think that was an excellent way to show us the release date. Give us a nice solid CGI trailer and, just let us know when this game is coming out. I feel like that's all we really needed. Man, God of War has a serious energy to it. Ragnarok feels like a next level event. All they did was drop a release date, just the release date, and all the gamers everywhere went crazy. So it's official. November 9th, the biggest game of the year officially drops, and I cannot wait. Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Hello everyone, thank you for listening to the show. This episode of the ProNerd Report was brought to you by patreon.com/the ProNerd Report. Do you want to support the show? Do you want to aid me in my quest to avenge my best friend by becoming a Super Saiyan? If so, and you got some dollars to spare, become a Patreon producer today. By becoming a producer, you can get the show a day early as well as get the show ad-free. Going forward, we're also going to give a special shout out to our Patreon producers in each episode. So go check out our Patreon today. That's patreon.com/the ProNerd Report. Now back to the show.
Topic number 3.
I want to switch gears to TV shows for the final topic of the show. There are people out there that are saying the Disney Plus shows, specifically the Marvel and the Star Wars shows, are overrated. I think that's absolutely crazy. I don't deny that some of the shows and writing for the shows are all over the place. Nevertheless, you can make a case that Disney is putting out some of the best shows that you can watch right now. WandaVision, Loki, and Ms. Marvel are grade A MCU shows. I really think the Star Wars shows are B tier and up as well. I get it. Both the Marvel and Star Wars shows have their faults, mostly due to their writing and their budget. I also think they're in a weird place budget-wise that we've never seen in TV shows before. They have a higher budget and production quality than your standard TV show, but they have a lower budget and quality than Disney movies. It's uncharted waters, to be honest. No show has ever been in this category other than Game of Thrones before. When you're doing something that hasn't really been done before, of course there are going to be hiccups along the way. For those who think the Disney shows are overrated, we agree with that to an extent. Like, we get your arguments for it, but I think you have to give them some leeway here. They are doing something that's never been done before. There are going to be slip-ups. There are going to be learning stages. There are going to be growth pains along the way. When you start a new job and it's in a brand new career, you're changing careers, there are going to be learning curves there. There are going to be hiccups along the way. This is no different. Like, give these shows some time, let them blossom, and let Disney start to figure out how to utilize this budget a little better. And I guarantee you, you won't be saying this argument anymore. These shows, despite all their faults, have purpose to them. On the MCU side of things, we get to see the Marvel Universe expanding with new characters. We get to see how they fit in the larger MCU universe. We often get to see these characters and we get to see these new characters and how they see the world. We get to see the whole MCU in a different lens. I think that's worth exploring. And I think a show is the best way to do it because you don't get to intimately know a character in a movie versus 6 to 8 episodes of a show where you really get to see them develop over a period of time or develop through hardship. So give it some time on the MCU side of things. I think we've already gotten a really good catalog of MCU TV shows. I feel like we've got some misses here and there, but nevertheless, I feel like there are more good than bad in that category. On the Star Wars side of things, I can get your argument as well, but nevertheless, we get a little bit of more character development and we get a little more time with characters that we've loved for decades. I think that's worth exploring. We got more of Boba Fett. We got more of Obi-Wan. We got to explore more of the lore of the Mandalorians in the live action format instead of the Clone Wars. I feel like that is very much worth exploring and there are deep stories that we can get out of it. I think the Star Wars universe itself needs to evolve personally, but nevertheless, I like the shows, and I feel like there's some of the better shows that are on TV, especially nerd-centric shows. So I'd rather have them than not have them. Personally, I'm just going to be honest. I don't think these shows are overrated. I think they're flawed, sure, but I think there are some of the most fun nerds have had with TV shows since the prime seasons of Game of Thrones. I get where you're coming from, but again, just keep in mind that learning curves and learning pains are going to happen. And as soon as they perfect this method, as soon as they kind of like figure out that perfect middle spot between like the budget that they want to use and like the writing that they want to come up with for like these shows to tie into their respective universes, the better we're going to be and the better the shows are going to be. Give it some time. We had a couple of shows, but this is uncharted waters. Let them grow and then evaluate this universe, then evaluate the show's qualities, then have that argument on whether or not this is overrated. Because I'm going to be honest, right now, I don't feel like that. And I feel like everyone's judging still to this day a little prematurely. I understand what you're saying, and I get in some of the arguments. Do we really need these stories? Do we really need to learn the backstory of these Star Wars characters? And on the Star Wars side of things, I can completely understand where you're coming from. I get it. Like, we don't necessarily need to learn about the Mandalorians. We don't necessarily need a series dealing with Boba Fett. We didn't necessarily need to know what happened to Kenobi right after Order 66 and how he's adjusting to things. But a lot of us are so glad we got that. We got that lore. We got to experience that character one more time. We got to see the younger versions of those characters one more time. So I think all in all, like, I'd rather have it than not have it. I honestly feel the same way about the MCU shows. We're going to be introducing a shitload of characters within these next couple of phases. And a lot of the time, TV shows are going to be the best method to do that. Like, I understand you don't necessarily want to bombard general audiences with anyone and everyone from the comics, but it is a comic book universe. It is a Marvel Cinematic Universe based on these comics. Expand the universe out. There are so many interesting stories to tell, and this method, this TV show method, is the perfect way of doing that. So give them a chance. Let them like fully get into their own. Let them utilize the budget and understand like the middle ground between like high budget and low budget shows, and let them kind of like, grow up with this. So I think we're going to get good TV shows that no one can dispute, and, sooner rather than later. It's just all a matter of time and all a matter of like growing pains. So there's my opinion. I don't think the Disney Plus TV shows are overrated personally. I think we're overreacting when we really haven't gotten enough data to form a solid conclusion yet. If this happens with like, another year of shows like this, then yeah, I can't say shit at that point. We've gotten 3 years of data on this. We can form a conclusion off of 3 years of data. But honestly, just give it a little more time. I think we're going to start seeing some real bangers come out. More WandaVision, Loki, and Miss Marvel quality, and less of Moon Knight quality shows. Hey, but what do I know? I'm just your friendly neighborhood average nerd. Hey everyone, that's it for today's show. Just a reminder, you can get the show later on youtube.com on the New Factions Games channel, as well as all your favorite podcast services. If you like the show and you like what you heard, please leave a dope review. It would really help out the channel a lot. The ProNerd Report releases every single week, and it brings you the dopest topics in the nerd community. This is your host, Sebastion, SDM3 on all social media platforms, signing out. We thank you for joining us, and we hope to catch you in the next one. Holla at your boy later. We hope you have a good one. Peace.